Oh,
Oh, cool.
and we
So
are
mine says
live.
live. Yep.
Yep. Hi, everybody. It's John here, and I've got Jess Hedstrom. We're printing every day, and she's going to talk about how 3D printing is really starting to kind of take off for the artistic world.
Yeah.
And so, before we kind of dive into that, maybe Jess, you can talk a little bit about how you got involved with this. What was it that like kind of attracted you to 3D printing, and then more specifically, in you using it for art?
Absolutely. So, originally when I kind of became interested in 3D printing, it was from a TED talk with a doctor. His name was Dr. Atala, and he actually presented on that TED talk a like a 3D printed kidney, which was absolutely amazing, and it totally blew my mind. And I'm not sure if anyone has seen that TED Talk, but they should definitely check that out. That was my first introduction to it, and obviously I'm not a doctor. I don't have aspirations to go into the medical field, so I was thinking that it wasn't really for normal people, for regular people who are not saving lives every day. And so instead, what I started to do was research a little bit, delve a little bit deeper, and I realized that 3D printing is a broad spectrum of industries. It actually goes into the food industry, it goes into obviously manufacturing and production, but it also goes into art and sculpture. And I have always been sort of an artistic, creative person. I love um, artwork and kind of experiencing people's mediums. And so this was another way for artists to both utilize their technical abilities and then also create pieces of art that were genuine and came from them. So it was a very exciting transition into this technology from an artistic perspective. So
So then you started a podcast about this because, like you said, very few people know about this side of it.
exactly.
Can you
Yeah.
tell a little bit about some of the different artists and how they're using 3D printing in their art then?
Absolutely, I would be happy to. So there are a wide range of different artists utilizing this technology. Some utilize it as like a means to an end. So they actually create items with their 3D printer and they sell those through a company called Shapeways. It's sort
Hmm,
of like Etsy. If you can imagine Etsy, except everything that's on it is 3D printed. So
nice.
it's like the perfect platform for, I like to call them layer geeks because it lays layer after layer, but it's
Right.
it's the perfect medium for it. But there's another way of utilizing it as well, and it's kind of sort of like a casting system. So you create a mold with 3D printing, and then it's cast in iron or steel or whatever it is you want to create it with. You can also do silver and gold, all of those things. So a lot of jewelry makers use that as a medium as well.
Hmm.
So
That
there's
makes
a
sense.
couple of
Yeah.
ways.
I guess instead of the traditional ways of using something like you said with molding and stuff, now
Yeah,
you can basically, anything that you can basically design
think
in a
of.
3D drawing, you can
Yeah.
create in artwork and stuff. So that's
Absolutely.
amazing.
That is the most amazing part of the technology, and the reason why is because I could make something that really only me and you want. So I can make something for the both of us. It doesn't have to be applicable or relatable to anyone other than us. And
Mm.
before you couldn't really do that. You had to make it on a grand scale. There had to be at least 100,000 people who wanted it in order to make it viably um, I guess, useful, I guess. So, and financially viable as well. So, it's just a really cool medium. I am absolutely in love with it. And I urge anyone who's interested to definitely research it and find out more. It's all
Absolutely.
around.
So, like, in terms of your own entrepreneur's journey and stuff, like, so
Yeah.
what kind of things have kind of been challenges for you in terms of, starting the podcast,
Yeah.
getting to, meet the folks and stuff like that?
Yeah.
What kind of things have you faced and kind of made you kind of think, maybe this is something I want to do, and then what kept you going?
Yeah. I have to say there wasn't just one thing. There's so many things that kind of come up along the way. Um, and the very first was not really knowing that what I was a creative person. What I was an entrepreneur. I had worked job after job trying to find what fit me, and for some reason none of them really felt right. And ever since childhood I had wanted to create my own thing, do something, I knew that I wasn't a painter. I knew that I wasn't a doctor, as I said before, but I didn't know what exactly fit me. So I kind of tested different industries. I was a chef at one point, and
Hmm.
I also worked in the accounting department of a law firm. So I was just really trying to figure out where I fit. And I think my first struggle was really realizing that, like, I just wanted to do something that would help people that I was able to kind of nurture and that I could see the benefits from immediately. So I kind of decided that I would go into this sort of road less traveled and try to create something for myself. And the very first thing that was a hurdle for me was my health. So I
Hmm.
actually, yeah, dealt with a little bit of a health scare. I don't want to get into too many details, but um, I was working in the last 2 weeks of my most recent job that I left, which was about 6 months ago. And I had this emergency health scare, and I wasn't sure if this was like some sort of not necessarily sign. I'm not a very spiritual person, but if it was something that I should heed and like slow down my entrepreneurial ventures because I had insurance, I had
Hmm.
like income and all of these things. So um, I had to make that decision for myself to pursue what I wanted to do and what I was passionate about. I wasn't passionate about this job, even though it gave me certain securities. And
Hmm.
so I had to really trust my gut and pursue it. And so obviously I'm here today, I'm healthy and everything is going great. So that was one of the first. I'm not sure if you want me to tell more, but I have way more if you're
Oh,
interested.
no worries. Yeah, absolutely. Like one of the things I constantly talk about all the time is that sometimes it's some of those darkest moments that really make you, like question, how determined you are and stuff. And then at the same
Yeah.
time, though, it's almost as if life is pushing back at you and asking you, how
How
determined are
bad do
you and
you want
stuff.
it?
And so you really show that you are determined to keep going. And so I, definitely, applaud that you kind of
Thank
just
you.
push through and stuff. I think one of the things that's interesting for me too is that it is a journey. It's kind of sometimes why, like, I really encourage entrepreneurs, especially, that one of the best books I recommend is The Alchemist, and it's a work of fiction by Paulo Coelho, but
Hmm.
it's really about how the entrepreneur's journey. Sometimes you just never know where it's going to go because, like, it's not even though that like in sometimes when we watch some of these biographies and stuff, it seems like this straight line to success, but
Yeah.
often it's a lot of ups and downs and every way which around and stuff. So I'm
Yeah.
I definitely understand where you're coming from. But here's something I was wondering about too was would you have some folks that like basically who kind of kept you going, whether it's a point of inspiration or
Yeah.
helped you along the way? Who are some folks that really kind of were your guiding lights or companions?
Absolutely. I don't think that anyone could do it without having a team or like someone that they kind of can confide in and rely on. And in my case, it's been family. So my
Mm,
parents are both very entrepreneurial people. They kind of freelance and they do their own thing, and they have been since high school. So when I go to them and I kind of ask for advice, I know that what they're giving me is things that they have been through.
right.
And advice that's coming from a really good place. Another amazing resource. I would not have actually placed my 2 weeks at my most recent job had it not been for my brother-in-law.
Hmm.
He is an entrepreneur at heart as well, and he is one of the most on fire people for like passionate and just wanting to go out and kind of I don't know. He's super, super passionate and very entrepreneurial. And so he was the main person that I went to and said, I think I want to pursue my passion, but how is this going to work? It's a huge risk. I don't have everything set up. How is this going
Hmm.
to work? I need actually also my huge thing was that I felt like I needed more experience. I needed to be an expert at my trade before I could even start the podcast. And he told me, no, just do it. Do it and you'll learn along the way because it'll actually start
Hmm.
to evolve and it may evolve into something else, but you won't know until you start. So, and
Yeah,
then
definitely.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
have
definitely.
you?
Like I constantly stress that all the time too, is to just take the steps and learn what you need to along the way. And
Yeah,
it's really great that you're surrounded by folks who are entrepreneurial because one of the expressions that John Lee Dumas has kind of really like popularized recently is about a rising tide raises all ships, and I really that's resonated with me. We are like definitely, the success of the five people we're closest to and stuff like that. So that's definitely a
absolutely.
key as well.
Yeah, that
So
was the phrase. Oh, sorry. I just want to add that's a phrase
sure,
that I truly believe in as well,
yeah.
wholeheartedly. Rise, all ships rise in the high tide. Absolutely.
Definitely. So, like, in terms of where do you see, like, kind of right now, like 3D printing kind of, evolving, or like, have you kind
Yeah.
of gotten a glimpse of what's next coming up and stuff?
It's evolving in several different ways. It kind of depends on which industry you're talking about, but in terms of art, there's so many people that are creating amazing pieces that could not be done in any other way. And so what I see the market doing right now is kind of pushing the barriers to see exactly how far it can go.
Mm,
And that's really interesting and that's really cool. Because right now we don't really know exactly the limitations of the technology. It just kind of continues to get pushed and pushed, and these amazing, intricate, and really delicate pieces are coming out of this technology. So yeah, and there are tons and tons on my podcast of people who talk about the artwork that they sell, how they made it, what software they use, how long it takes, things like that, and then also struggles that they had to go through and overcome, and then advice that they have for people who are interested in learning. So it's a wonderful
definitely.
resource if people are interested in 3D printing.
Yeah. So, is that the best way to reach you then? Is it through your podcasts?
Yeah, through the website printingeveryday.com, they can actually contact me there. My email address is listed there along with all of my social media sites. Oh my gosh, so many social media sites. But along with that, there's also an area for comments as well. So if anyone has any questions about 3D printing, that's viewed by everyone who's ever been on the podcast. So it's a great resource.
Super. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. We'll make sure to provide some of these different links we've talked about and stuff like that, and
awesome.
I'll definitely check back with you. So thanks,
Absolutely.
Jess. Really appreciate you,
Yeah.
coming in and stuff, and love hearing your story. I'm looking
Awesome.
forward to kind of learning more about 3D printing because I've actually, have only heard only little bits before we started talking and stuff. So
Absolutely. Well, it's a wonderful and amazing industry, and I will definitely pass things along as they come up. Awesome. And thank you so much for having me on. It's such an opportunity, great opportunity, and wonderful chatting with you today.
definitely, thanks, Jess. We'll talk again
Yeah,
soon.
sounds good.